This is the Simpit. I'm Andreas Martin Mørch. Welcome to the second episode of Project Sim Racer. What we've realized during the recordings of these videos is that there are many things that we have to shorten or completely leave out of the videos. And frankly, that's a shame. So if you're interested in more Project Sim Racer, go to the simpit.com where you'll find outtakes and uncut videos. Now, after the recording of the first episode, I spent about a month just honing my basic car handling skills. I ran the odd race, of course, but most of my time was spent in solo sessions. When I realized that Season 4 of the 2014 iRacing schedule would only be 6 weeks, I thought that was a perfect opportunity to commit to a full season of racing in the Skip Barber series. In this episode, we're going to show you some of the preparations that Shaun and I have been doing. And in the next episode, we're going to show you the races that I've been running in my quest to win the championship division. So, in these 6 weeks, I will be running at a lot of tracks that I've never turned a lap at before. So, this first week at Mosport, Shaun will help me out with the driving line.
Coming out of turn 1, setting up turn 2 here, you got to come from outside. This is the hardest. Actually, I'm going to come to a stop right here. This is the hardest part of the entire track, and the reason is it's a leap of faith corner. You are coming off a blind hill, and there is a lot of drop off. And the real trick to this corner is maintaining your composure, number 1. Number 2, maintaining balanced throttle. A lot of people get really light coming over the hill, and they get the ass coming around, and by the time they catch it, they've fallen off the corner, and they're off track. It is the most dangerous corner I can think of in racing, to be honest with you.
Wow.
But
it's a tough one to start out with.
But the beautiful thing about it is for people who learn it, I mean, you can gain a full second in this corner alone over mediocre drivers.
Okay.
All right. Anyway, this corner is a wide, late apex that you can actually get it straightened out and get into this straightaway early when done right. And you will take it out here.
Right.
We'll worry about speed and gears in a minute. This is almost another blind corner, but you can attack this one a lot more. But you got to keep it inside, even if it takes throttle control. And then it's a heavy braking zone. And then you got to get straight, because the most important thing is this corner right here. This is the most important corner on the entire track, and I almost don't care what you did coming down the hill. I almost don't care how much speed you scrubbed setting up the first right-hander. It's this right-hander right here that will lead us onto the longest straightaway of the entire track, and it is critical to speed, and it's critical to passing others or defending being passed against. And the key to this corner is slowing up enough, because it is a sharp corner. The corner before will have slowed us down a lot, and I often will coast through the flat section, use a touch of brake, and then you have to make this apex. You have to get the car to here so that you're pointed straight out and hard on the gas.
Of course, Shaun isn't going to sit down every week and teach me the driving line. Once you've started to understand the basic principles about finding the optimal driving line, it's a good exercise to try and find a good line around a new track yourself before seeking assistance, whether that's through your friends or online or whatever. Who knows, you may even find a faster line around the track.
I mean, the next thing I really want to get into, I mean, you're showing pretty good. It's just going to take laps to get your line, perfected, your braking zones perfected. I mean, you're looking really good. The next thing would be knowing, how to protect yourself against passing, dealing with the car on your ass, trying to get by somebody you can get by. On this track, the biggest and best passing zone, of course, is the long straightaway on the backstretch. So, and it really starts with setting up a run on that corner. Because not only do you have to get a better run than them, not only do you have to draft them, but you have to judge the closing speed accordingly. Right. So I'll just kind of go out and I'll try to leave you a little bit of room. And it's not forcing the pass on this one. It's carrying more speed out of that corner, using timing, using the draft, and cruising right by, and taking that inside line. Now, at first I'm just going to let it go, let it happen, let you cruise on by. At some point, I'm going to say, no, you're not coming by on the inside, go around. Yeah. But we'll deal with that later, so.
Right side. Stay on the left. Clear on the right.
Of course, not everyone will just concede the corner like that.
Okay, so I obviously gave you a little bit of room, but you had enough speed that even if I hadn't, you could have cruised around to the left. Now again, a lot of guys block and a lot of guys hold the theory of I'm going to hold my line, you go around. The best thing you really can do is drive the fastest driving line, hit your marks, set up a good pass, get by them without making it a driving thing where you're really fighting into a corner.
Shaun thought it was time to try and join a public server in order to see how I stacked up against others and to try driving in traffic. After driving around here for a bit, it was obvious that I was running very competitive lap times compared to my iRacing. After qualifying and running some races in the first week, which we'll show you in the next episode, we took the first step into the world of setting up a car.
Alright, so if we go to the garage, I just want to talk about a couple other things. Right now we're at the yellow. If we go to, it won't give us a click 6. So we're bottomed out as far as we can't really drop it anymore.
Right.
If you and if you went back to a track where you've got super duper heavy braking and you feel that car bottoming out,
right,
you know, you might need to raise it back up because that's all we can really do. We can't adjust the strength of the springs or anything else.
Right.
The other thing is your tire pressure. We can, right now, you're probably fine with this one. You could correct a little bit of steering. So if you took this setup to another track, in other words, and found that the oversteer was just, not overcomable, you can do a few things for the entry that's going to help. Number one, you can adjust the brake bias. So that's one of the, and the only reason I'm going through this, we only have 4 things we can change on this car. So if turn 1 was unbearable, and rather than reduce the amount of front grip that we have, which we don't want to give up if we don't have to, then the thing that we can do to counteract that on entry is adjust the brake bias. And the other thing is we might be able to drop another pound of pressure in the rear tires if it's not causing us problems anywhere else. Maybe get it to be a little bit more soft going in. Now, the other thing is, the other thing I just want to mention, it's the only other thing that you can adjust to the car, anti-roll bar in the rear. Now, that's not going to do much on entry. Well, it's when we're coming from mid-corner apex, from throttle on outward, that the rear roll bar comes into play. Right. That's all we really can do to the car. I mean, it looked like you had really good handling there. It was really a matter of controlling the steering input, because usually the wiggles look like they're a little bit of steering or throttle snapping induced oversteer more than the actual car handling, because the car was catching itself.
Yeah, definitely.
So,
yeah, right. And I think I don't think it would hurt to have a bit more front end grip, and it gets more. Generally, some more oversteer. I don't think that will hurt. I just need to get used to it, really.
Yeah. And at this,
because it feels very tight on corner exit right now.
Right. Well, and tight on exit, we could immediately start cranking up that roll bar in the rear and stiffen it up.
Right.
The firmer rear bar equals more oversteer. 1 being the softest, 8 being the stiffest. So we're at 6, but if you want, you literally could increase that up to 7. And have it really not affect the car a whole lot except for mid-corner out.
Right.
So go ahead and give that a shot.
Yeah, let's try that, yeah. Wow, that helps a lot in that corner. That was just a bad downshift.
It looked like you were a little hot into one.
Yeah, that as well, and then I downshifted to 2 way too early.
Yeah. You know, and here we are in practice. This is the moment to push things.
Yeah, because I guess that's how you test setups, really.
Yeah.
Is
well,
going to the limit.
And especially, like, you mentioned that it helped in that one corner, but I can tell you coming over the top of that hill, it didn't help. It hurt it. So, for where you gained one spot, you probably lost at another.
Yeah. Without having an effect on the lap times, we managed to slightly adjust the car to my liking, using the anti-roll bar. This seemingly made me faster on the exits coming onto the straights, which hopefully will make it easier to pass and defend, but on the other end, I am losing a bit more time on turns 1, 2 and 3, for example. That's it for this episode. If you can't wait for the next one, check out Project Sim Racer Uncut on the Simpit.com for Shaun's walkthrough of Mosport and an in-depth look into how Shaun helped me set up the car.